Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can work together to advance the cause of Christ among Free Will Baptists and around the world. Today, we have some special guests that are here with us. We have Mr. Doug Little, who works now for the Free Will Baptist Foundation, but has been a long-time worship leader and a long-time member of the Music Commission. We also have Pastor Brian Hughes. He works at Peace Church in Wilson, North Carolina. He's been there for several years. Before that, he was in some church in Clayton, North Carolina, with a good pastor, I think, but I forget who that was, Brian. But anyway, Brian is joining us from North Carolina. And we have, of course, Joshua Riggs. And so Joshua is in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, working there at the Bethany Church. He's a longtime member of the Music Commission as well. And so all of these fellows have you guys added up how much worship experience between all of you?
Wow.
Doug's got us beat.
I think it's in the 200-year category, but let's just say it's been a long time, and there's a lot that you guys have to offer. So I really appreciate you joining us today, and I want you to talk to us about this FWBWorship.com. You have this new, fairly new, I guess we should say, web page. How in the world did you come about to launch a web page and put all the work that's been involved in doing this? Where did that come from? And I guess we'll ask you to talk a bit about that, Doug.
Well, thank you, Brother Eddie. The Music Commission was created by the National Association when the Rejoice hymn book was first published to kind of help promote the use and all of the hymn book. But as we began, we also wanted to provide resources for our churches. That's been a while back. And in the years that followed, what we found was that even within our churches that have not necessarily changed the style and preferences of how they do church on Sunday related to the music, the world of Christian music has certainly changed in that time frame. And what we found as the Music Commission in thinking about ways we could stay relevant to helping our churches was that the churches that have music leaders who are either volunteer or part-time generally don't have access to the kinds of resources that the churches that have full-time paid staff dedicated to that have. And so we began to explore the opportunities and what might be a way that we could reach out to what we've come to call everyday people who are leading the music and worship in their local church. So this website project was in our crock pot for several years before we had the resources to begin. And thanks to a generous grant from the Free Will Baptist Foundation, we were able to cross the threshold of the finances that we needed to be able to move forward. And there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth brainstorming from various sides about what to put together. But again, our core focus has been to provide, first of all, an interactive website. What anybody looks at the FWBWorship.com on a particular day is not going to be maybe what they see if they go back to that same website the next week. We are going to be constantly updating, adding new information in ways that most people who use internet sites are not used to. This is going to be a live, active kind of a resource for our people. We're not just going to put some things on there and go away and forget it. There's going to be a growing amount of information, and also contact with people just to ask questions and to get advice. And I think later on you're going to talk about that. But the two guys that you have invited, Dr. Moody, to be on this podcast are the two people who have spent the most time. Brian Hughes was our project manager for the creation of the website, and Josh, coming on board, has provided a lot of valuable tech information that he brings to the table to bring us to the point where we are today. We're very pleased, we're very thankful, and we're very excited because, since the Rejoice Hymn Book was published, there's really not been this type of resource made available to our Free Will Baptist folks. So I'm proud. I'm not going to say a whole lot as the guys talk through what this includes, but we are here to help everyday people become better worship leaders. And I just pray that the Lord will let this be an encouragement, an inspiration, and some training for people of all walks, all types of churches, all types of music, all denominations that care to listen to what we bring to the table, and that the Lord will add to his honor and glory through helping us do a better job in leading worship in our churches.
That's great. So there is a lot here, a lot of work involved in this. Brian, why don't you walk us through and maybe give us a sense of how someone could use the website at this particular point?
Yeah, absolutely. As Doug was talking about, and you've already mentioned, we're proud of FWBWorship.com. And so that's the main URL that you can go to. And we've got different avenues where you can come into this. And so when you come to our start page right there that you're seeing on the screen, our tagline is there. That's what we're here for, that we help everyday people become better worship leaders. And one thing that we wanted to do through the site was allow some training. And so as you come on the main landing page, you've got a couple of different options. Up in the right-hand corner of your screen, you've got the free training tab that will show up in each of our frames, as well as our social media jump-offs that you have across the top there with Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and then our landing page for YouTube as well that Josh will talk about here in a little while. As you scroll through the page, there's another section there in the middle of the landing page that gives you our where the YouTube site is at, and then where the cursor is at currently is at the top, where we've got our tabs for resources, our about section, which will tell you about the Music Commission itself, and then also a jump off point for our National Association, and then a contact tab that we'll have, and we'll talk about that later because we'd love for people to contact us and give us some information. But all throughout even the landing page, there's areas for you to learn, for just to come about how who we are, what we're about. And so you see him scrolling down the landing page there, our YouTube channel there that has our stuff for training and stuff that we'll put on even in the future that you can go to as well. And then at the bottom of the page, we've got some articles that are there that we have some in the mix already that are there for us. Some articles that some of our guys have written, just general welcome, and then our current one that was just written not long ago from Daniel Webster. We're thankful for his input on that as well. But we're going to be doing that. There's some stuff that we're going to be partnering with that I'm going to let Josh talk about as far as some stuff that has been produced in the past that will be helpful to people, hopefully, coming in the future. So Josh, you want to talk a little bit about what those articles might be and how those things are going to come out as well?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Moody, for having us on. We really appreciate the opportunity to share FWBWorship.com with our brothers and sisters across the world. As far as the articles go, we're in the process of working with our other departments, specifically Randall House and the executive office, to get content that was published in the past, maybe through one magazine or through Randall House in some form, that's related to music or worship. And we're getting those articles, that material, and we're going to repost it here on FWBWorship.com. And it will be searchable, where you can search for it based on topic or author and things like that. So that's in the works. And maybe by the time you're watching that, you will see some of those articles here on this page. So we're excited about reposting some great content that was already written. But as you know, with internet, it can easily get lost in the shuffle. And so we're excited to explore some of those. And then we also have some fresh content. We've reached out to a handful of worship leaders, pastors that are working to write articles specifically for FWBWorship.com. And as Doug said, our plan is to update this every week. We'll have something new where you can browse, and all with the goal of helping everyday people become better worship leaders.
That's good. And you also have quite a bit of training. So a person can watch, I think I'm looking at that now, like here is a video on choir rehearsal, preparing your church to worship. So there's all kinds of resources for training and so forth. Do one of you all want to talk about that a little bit, and how this could be utilized by a local church?
Sure. Yeah. So that the training tab right now is some practical, some inspirational, some spiritual. They're videos by all Free Will Baptist guys. Some of them are part of the Music Commission and some are not. And we appreciate those who are contributing content to help, like Dr. Tony Cooper and Daniel Webster and Kevin Denton and Sam Harris and Chad Donahoe. All these guys, they're not officially a part of the Music Commission, but they're contributing. And so basically, we have it broken down into series. Depending on what you need, you can just click on the series. So for instance, you mentioned choir rehearsal with Sam Harris. If you click on that, Dr. Moody, then that's going to lead you to, it's a 3-part video series on how to prepare your choir to worship. And Sam walks through some just really practical steps for those who have choir ministry, and how you can prepare your choir, what to do before rehearsal, during rehearsal, after rehearsal. And so really some great content. And then if you go back to all categories, or yeah, that's fine. So we have the identity series is actually a 4-part series. Tony just finished the last 2 videos. We'll get those posted here soon, but it's really just a look at Scripture and what the Scripture says about worship and how we are to worship and how our identity is. That's really why we were created. And so that's more of a spiritual emphasis, but it's a great video series. And then we have some practical things like worship planning. Kevin Denton walks through just some tips, and that's a 3-part series as well. What to do if you have a choir, if you don't have a choir, and then specific tools you can use when planning worship. So you guys can browse all the content, and we're constantly working, like in the same way Dr. Moody is, to produce new content. We're working on getting new content produced, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you guys, and you can just choose the categories that are most beneficial or what you need. And then I'll mention those videos are also hosted on YouTube.
One other thing that we offer on the site under the resources tab back on the home page is resource links. And as Doug was speaking to earlier, one of the things that a lot of people, we search for stuff all the time on the internet. Josh was just talking about how YouTube is such a huge search engine for everyone. We wanted to give a place that everyday worship leaders could come and find some general tools that they could use each and every day. One that we're really proud of under the choir and instrumental music is our own Dr. Stevens, JamesMichaelStevens.com. He's got a place for us. You can go there and find out a lot of information that he has. And we're updating that constantly as well with new things that we're learning that's been helpful in our ministries, and putting that as well. So love for you to check that out and see how that could help you in your ministry moving ahead.
So the About tab under NA, when the national gets a little closer, we're going to have information for you guys. Right now, it just links to NAFWB.org, but we're going to have information for you guys on how you can be a part of the music at the convention coming up in Memphis in 2021. So you can come back to this page and you can find out how you can participate in the choir. And we're considering a virtual choir option this year because of the COVID restrictions and things like that. So that's what under About you'll be able to find that. And then also, just if you wanted to connect with the Music Commission members, you can see who's on the Music Commission and just a little bio of each of us. And then at the top on that last tab is Contact, which we really encourage you to use. That email goes to all of us. And so if you have a question about worship ministry or tech stuff with your, how to mic a choir or how to plug in a microphone, or maybe you have questions about, scheduling volunteers, that sort of thing, all that kind of falls under the worship leader's responsibility. And so you can use that Connect form to ask us a question. Any question you have, we'll assign it to somebody and try to respond quickly and just help you very specifically for your ministry needs.
And there you go, links again for how they can follow you on social media, which we would really encourage them to do that. Go like those pages, follow and subscribe at YouTube and so forth. What were you going to say, Brian?
I think it was Josh, but I think he was just reiterating what you just said. Just please check out our social media tabs and follow us there. It's a good way to keep in touch with us as well as we update content and as stuff comes down the pipe. Love for you to be a part of that. And so we're excited about this.
Well, this is wonderful, guys. I like it says free training. So it truly is free, but some wonderful resources. And what is already here is going to be extremely helpful to worship leaders, but just knowing that it's constantly being updated, knowing about some of the other things you have coming down, it's really a helpful thing. So thank you so much for preparing this page, for putting it together. I think it's really going to make a difference with our worship leaders. Anything else you want to add before we sign off today?
Let me just emphasize the fact that if someone will follow us or subscribe to the YouTube channel, there are notifications that are going to go out when new content is posted on the website, and that's important. And as chairman of this group, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the entire denomination for the effort and the time that these guys are putting into this. We get no compensation whatsoever. All of the resources that are ever going to be available through FWBWorship.com will be free. No, there will not be a cost for any user. We do plan to set up a donation option for people who want to contribute, because there are expenses involved in hosting this website and the background of providing the technical side of it. But so if anyone wants to donate directly to the Music Commission, that will be an option. And by the time this podcast is aired, it may already be there. But we are going to do that. And we are open for suggestions, for positive criticism, ways that we can improve. You notice the positive part.
Yeah, I picked that up.
So yeah, but yeah, we truly, this is we've created not a monster, but a blessing that we want to continue to grow and shape because as much change as we have seen in how worship is done and the resources that are available and needed in our local churches, even the smallest of our churches, those changes over the past 15 years, the changes in the next 15 years, who knows? But till Jesus comes, we want to have a resource here so that everyday people who are leading worship in their churches can have a go-to and do their very best for Jesus.
That's
Thank
great.
you, Dr. Moody.
That's great. Well, thank you all. Thank you for the good work on this. I really believe it's going to be helpful to our folks. And thank you for everything you do, but especially for this particular website, putting this together. And thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate you giving your time. You heard the plea about subscribing on YouTube. You could also like their Facebook page, their Instagram page. That way you can stay up to date. And we also encourage you to like at Better Together NAFWB on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Every time you subscribe or like one of our pages, it makes a big difference. And thank you for joining us today with Better Together podcast, where we're looking for ways to work together to advance the cause of Christ among Free Will Baptist and around the world. So thank you guys for joining us, and thank you listeners for joining us as well.